I'm Steve, and welcome back to Movie Chat. I'll be looking at these two 90s action classics and having a good old fashioned face off. Both of these movies star Nicolas Cage. In one, he has a mullet, and the other, he's got his face taken off altogether. If you've watched our live show where we reviewed 1997, you'll know that little Steve and I butted heads over Con Air and Face Off and which one was the better of these two films. Con Air is directed by Simon West and is actually a Disney movie. Face Off is directed by John Woo and has Nicolas Cage swapping his face with John Travolta. That means you've got Nicolas Cage playing John Travolta and John Travolta playing Nicolas Cage. And what's not to love about that movie? I'm going to walk through both of these films, give them an honest review, and then I'll leave it up to you to decide which one is the better film. So let's put that bunny back in the box because Papa's got a brand new bag, and let's get into this. Face Off is one of my top 10 best action films of all time. I love it and have so much fun while I'm watching it. It's easily one of my favourite action films ever. John Travolta and Nicolas Cage are both fantastic in this film. The acting is superb and is Oscar worthy, in my opinion. John Woo's directed a masterpiece, and the action scenes in this movie are mind-blowingly outstanding. And like I say, it's a John Woo film. The ending of this film is absolutely beautiful, and it's heartwarming as well. However, saying that, Con Air is another one of my top 10 favourite films, and it's definitely a guilty pleasure. The story starts off believable, but as the film progresses through, it gets more and more silly. But the film doesn't take itself too seriously at the same time, so you can forgive it for that. The acting is good. Some may say over the top, which adds to the enjoyment of the action scenes, which is highlighted by that great 90s soundtrack. It's got explosions, it's got fist and gunfights, it's even got helicopters and motorbike chases. You can't ask more than that. Nicolas Cage's accent is atrocious, and you find yourself laughing at him more than you relate to him. But during the emotional scenes, this is all very forgiving. There's a number of good scenes in the film, but for me, my favourite scene is the fight in the undercarriage of the plane, where one of the cons finds out that Cage's character is being lying to them and leading them on. The plane, when it crashes at the end, it looks very dated now, but at the time, it was very impressive the way that they did it. If you want action movies that sum up the 90s, these two and Independence Day are definitely your go-tos. The general plot of Face Off is just silly. The whole premise of swapping your faces is laughable. However, they make the way and go out the way to make this a dead serious point of the film. They do a very good job of explaining the surgical process and how it all works. It's not just as simple as cutting your face off and gluing it onto another person's. They go through changing the voices and the shape of people, and props off to the story writers for making it believable at least. Cage is one of my favourite actors. He's just so unpredictable and over the top. You can't help but like the guy, and this film's no different. There is a lot of cheese in this film, and for the time may have been viewed as cool, such as all the slow-mo reveals, the explosions, the gunfights. These looked great years ago. However, it doesn't really hold up to today's standard. Same goes for the dialogue and the cringy lines, but there's some definitely quotable one-liners in there as well. I did find myself starting off having mixed emotions about the characters in this movie when it entered into that final year. Both Sean Archer and Castor Troy started to act out as each other's characters, which created an entertaining moral dilemma for me, which was who am I actually rooting for? My favourite scene of this film is the gunfight in the loft, where it's all slow-mo and you've got Somewhere Over the Rainbow playing in the background. This film's often viewed as a classic, and a lot of people really do enjoy it, and I'm not disputing that. If anything, I'm agreeing with it. I love Face Off. Con Air is a simple but well-made film. Imagine a blend of Aeroplane mixed with Die Hard, and you've got one of the most entertaining, hilarious movies ever made. The emotion flows well, and the characters and the plot interconnect in a very comedic but an action-packed way at the same time. The movie's full of wit. This comes from it's definitely taking the piss out of itself, and it's not trying to portray any type of reality. And sometimes as movie fans, that's just what we crave, is that little bit of escapism. If you haven't seen this movie, stop after this video, of course. Go and watch it, you won't regret it. Cage, Cusack and Malkovich pulled the whole thing together beautifully. Then you've got Sweet Home Alabama thrown in there as part of the soundtrack. You know, you can't top that, and especially the lines around it's ironic that we're listening to a song that's played by a band that's died on a plane crash. That's just beautifully written. My recommendation is get yourself a bottle of wine, order a pizza, just have a great movie experience, and you're definitely going to enjoy it. So this brings me to the question of which one is better, Face Off or Con Air. It should be obvious after the speedboat chase finale, in which an immaculately attired Nicolas Cage is dropped overboard by an equally sharp John Travolta, only for him to haul himself back into the action by some impromptu jet skiing and murder the assailant with a harpoon gun to the guts. It's gotta be Face Off, and I've said that right from the off. However, just 3 weeks earlier, you've got Con Air released with a comparable premise and body count, only this time it's John Malkovich facing down Nicolas Cage, and we're met with very similar cheering critics, and it's difficult. With a believable story and better one-liners, it should be Con Air. This is definitely personal choice, but for me it's Face Off. I can watch it time and time again. Little Steve's going to argue with you it should be Con Air, and like I say, we had this out on the live show just last week. All I can say is that the 90s was definitely a great decade for action films. Each film was a product of a short but funky premise, which has been largely consigned to history and buried under today's era of remakes, reboots and extended cinematic universes. In addition to Con Air and Face Off, you've got The Rock, Air Force One, Hard Rain, Broken Arrow and Speed, just to name a few that have been released in a short 4-year period. Films like these are easy to take for granted, so let's just take a moment and savour the fact that great films with such lunacy were ever made in the first place. However, it's hard for me to admit this era seems so long ago, and while it's possible the next golden age of action movies is only around the corner, I think it's going to be difficult to get another summer of 1997 repeated anytime soon. With all that being said, and as I said before, it's definitely a personal choice, so I'm sticking to my guns that Face Off is the better movie. I look forward to the comments, good or bad, or telling me I'm wrong on this matter, and if you have any other films that you're in two minds about, I'd love to hear them as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. You can also find us on Facebook via the Movie Chats and Film Geeks page, plus we're on Instagram under Movie Chats 2021. If that's not enough for you, you can always join us on our Thursday night live shows. We have a segment called the Free For All, which gives you a chance to come on and discuss anything movie or TV related, or anything that you'd like to. On that note, I'm going to leave you guys here. I'm Steve, you've been watching Movie Chats, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.